We will get this thing going here now that everyone's back, and I am actually here. So we will begin by what? I gotta look and see what Mercury. We'll begin with. Hey, look, the round things. I love the round things. What are the round things? I have no idea.
I love that episode.
Such a good episode. Very nice. What game is that from?
Eldritch Horror.
I like it.
Uh-huh. Considering it happens about once a game.
Lost in Time and Space. All right. So our love letter for Alicia is quite straightforward. So when we last left our heroes, these specific heroes, they were the whole team had jumped into the time tunnel and things were, everyone was headed back home. And then things started to go somewhat amiss, starting with Sable Star sort of tackling Concord out of the time stream through the wall of it. And that wasn't the weirdest thing that happened, because you see this gigantic, oversized, cosmic. Actually, you know what? I'm going to rely on someone like James to come up with the image for this, because I'm pretty sure that. But when Aang is trying to figure out how to reconnect to his avatar state, and he's got the guru working with him, and he's on the little light bridge, the little astral light bridge, and he looks up and he sees the gigantic avatar version of himself reaching down for some kind of angry backhanded slap. It's kind of that scale, cosmically speaking, for Dr. Infinity reaching down at this time tunnel. I would look, but I have the sneaking suspicion that there is furious Googling going on that I don't need to. There's no reason for me to interfere.
People are confusing Last Airbender and Korra, and it's not helping.
You want to probably look for Aang, but yeah, I know.
I have a better reference, but I'm having problems finding it.
You need the episode. It's the banana.
Chakras. Everybody loves chakras.
It's the there you go. Yeah, it's the
bananas and.
It's the banana and onion juice episode.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Concord goes tumbling out of the thing, and Dr. Infinity basically grabs hold of the time tunnel like it's a garter snake that needs to be tossed over the fence, and gives it a good squeeze and starts whipping it about. Before we get to what do you do, we'll catch things up with a bit of a love letter here. Alicia's is pretty straightforward. Looks like Dr. Infinity has been screwing with you in your timeline, all because they can't get their hands on Charlotte. And they aren't done yet. Mark a condition.
They don't even know who Charlotte is.
Yeah. Mark a condition. Well, they know there's somebody. It's just, they know your name, which is weird. But yeah, mark a condition and take +1 ongoing against Dr. Infinity and or their minions for the rest of the session. Love and Kisses editorial.
That either means that we're going to be running into more of Dr. Infinity and their minions over the course of the session, which would be extremely annoying, or we're not, which would also be extremely annoying, having a +1 condition against them.
I would certainly try to make sure. I mean, I'm certainly going to try and make sure that it's not just an empty thing.
Empty threat?
Empty bonus.
An empty bonus?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Well, then, yay.
Yeah. So, that's that one. My dear Charlotte, it seems Dr. Infinity has been secretly working to help those who would collapse the two worlds, the thing you've been fated to prevent. Who do you most want answers from? Magus Everard or your family? Just wondering. Editorial.
'Cause it's his sorry ass that is infinitely linked to all of this.
Oh, Everard. Yeah, that's fair. That's pretty fair.
He knows what's going on with Infinity, so
In theory.
yeah,
Yep.
what it's about since he's been playing this game for cross how many timelines.
Yes. Hiya, Harry. Dr. Infinity is whipping the time tunnel around like an out-of-control fire hose. You're all inside it, and the one thought foremost in your head is... How do I avoid the hellish future we just left? Or, I'm going to be late for my date with Andy. Let us know.
I'm going to be late for my date with Andy.
To hell with the future. To
I'm
hell...
scared.
To hell with avoiding the sins of my future past. I don't want the girl angry with me. Yes, that's fair. That's fair.
What's going to kill me quicker?
Yeah.
Andy.
The future will only hurt me in
If you're lucky.
the future will only hurt me in the future. Andy will hurt me right now. Okay.
If I live.
And
So,
also possibly in the future.
and yeah, yes. There could be future hurting. Future hurting.
Tomorrow, there's always a hurt.
There's always an earth-shattering kaboom. All right. So, time tunnel, whipping about. Voltron-like team hollering of ah, et cetera, and so forth. Since he didn't get a love letter, I will ask Link, what do you do? You are collectively, the Newman Collective are in. Are you in Phoenix? Did you bring Phoenix back, or did he stay?
Well, we left an egg there in the future, so yeah, we brought the original Phoenix back with
Regional
us.
Phoenix coming back.
Yeah, so we're all flying in that.
All kind of in Phoenix. What do you do?
Well, we've got no weapons, and I'm not even sure what shooting at this thing would mean if we did. But the Phoenix is fast and maneuverable, so if there's a tunnel ahead of us, conceptually speaking, we'll try to speed up and outrace whatever this effect is.
All right.
Like, I'm not even sure what my options are as far as like doing shit. But
Well,
that
clearly
sounded good.
it's act under fire. No, I'm kidding. Or what is the Dungeon World one? This the generic. You're going to do something dangerous. I don't have a move for it.
Oh yeah, I was playing a thief character who was very chaotic and was opposed to like the huntsman type,
Yeah.
who's very lawful. So I had a move called Defy Ranger. No, I don't have that.
That's good though. Defy danger. Yeah, roll defy. No, don't roll defy danger. Well, what would that be? That is a. I think that's a. I love the action of it, and
Like it sounds like a straightforward unleash your powers. It's like the Phoenix is doing the thing, and we're just going to use the Kirby Craft move for that.
yeah, it's either unleash your. I'm gonna say it's unleash your powers just for overcoming this obstacle. Certainly, you could probably. There's probably, depending on if you were interested in such things, take an angle on it that's like a defend or something like that, protecting my people or whatever. But I think unleash your powers is probably the most straightforward
Like
thing.
they all roll through this. They all roll through the same stat anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, Kirby Craft, look at that. Wow. Okay, so that's a 1-1 with a 3.
So if two people who told us how they cooperated, we could spend the one team that we get for starting the session and the one team that's in the pool now. But I will leave that up to y'all if you want to fail this or not.
that is a okay. So let me first of all, let me get that one over there. Yeah. Because you get one for start. You pretty much start at least. It seems like you always.
I'm sorry, you guys stole all the points while we were
No,
gone?
they drain. Well, you guys are traveling back in time. It's pretty much a point reset. Also, I think
Well, if it's a team move, then isn't there like, are we working on the same goal and
yeah,
who's the
no.
leader?
What do you think you're facing an overwhelming threat right now? Oh wait, um, potentially. Let's see what's going on here. So my my first question, I guess, would be who was in the jet? I mean, I guess Alicia would be.
I would think
I kind of assume
everybody
everyone
would
except Concord.
Thought we all were.
Well, in my head it was Jet flanked by Concord and Harry, because Speedster racing through the time tunnel seemed like a thing to me. Not that he was necessarily doing anything with regards to that, but just he could. But I don't know. Harry, what do you think? Were you in the jet or were you running alongside the jet as it raced through the time tunnel?
Probably beside, since how we got through the future, at least, it was
Yeah.
a combination of
Yeah, there was certainly
me
some
and
some speedster elements to that. That's how Vector got back there in the first place. So we could, sort of say it was necessary or just habitual or whatever. But for whatever reason, he's there. Okay, so well, in any case, we've got certainly enough people around there to throw some points at it if you're so inclined. Otherwise, things go, we can just jump straight off this and things go horribly haywire right off the bat, which is, you know, suddenly we're in the Cave Batman episode. Kidding. What say you, brave adventurers? The question is really, do you want to spend the points?
spend the point.
And then we can figure out the how, because certainly, I mean, Alicia's in the midst of technology and
Sure.
has a +1. Well, doesn't need to worry about the roll at this point in time. So certainly she has the means, but she could also be getting tossed around the cockpit. Charlotte can imbue, technology with all kinds of wibbly wobbly, ghosty wosty stuff.
Timey-wimey.
Timey wimey, ghosty wosty stuff. Um,
I'm willing to go ahead and take this hit because I expect bad things are going to happen regardless. So I say take the hit and save the team for
the next
recovering from
Bad?
it or dealing with the next thing.
dealing with the next thing.
Yeah, and if there's one thing I need right now, it's potential.
Yeah, is pretty much. I mean, aside there is that Link doesn't need any more XP. You can just kind of, ride that out a little bit, but that's fine. That's fine. I need to look. Reading through, and incidentally, guys, there's some fine work going on the forums in this little 2-week hiatus. I've been particularly enjoying the little sort of choose your own adventures that you guys have done for some of the characters. That's been very. It's been a really good reminder of certain things. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, that GM move, that's a good move. That kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I've been wanting. I've got the idea for doing one that I've almost started posting 3 times, and each time was sort of like, well, I can't actually follow through it until I actually have the rules in front of me and some stuff, and that hasn't happened since I've gotten back. So
no,
but it will happen.
But
so what the hell?
barely got back, so that's
Yes.
it's a lot of fun, and I think it's an interesting thing. I'm thinking. Give me a moment to think. Hmm. There is. Okay. I'm going to use one of Dr. Infinity's moves, actually. Um, Bill, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. I'm addressing you rather than your character because I'm really kind of putting you on the spot. But I know you've given
Yeah,
this
go
a
for
lot.
it.
I know I've given you a lot of. I know you've given this a lot of thought, so I think you're probably suitably prepped. All right. So you were talking about what your like what your conditions of your retirement were. Okay. Um, this is going to somewhat probably color that a little bit. So it I want to switch to a different channel. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I would like to, in the comic book sense, get a couple panels, and this is kind of before this, or as a a little precursor to the beginning of this book, because the readers have been getting signals. Link's going to leave the team. This is going to be the issue. It's probably the big front cover. It's one of the alternate covers, if nothing else. And we start with a couple panels of how he envisions this thing happening and going, or what he's going to do, how he's sort of planning it out in his head. Now, if you think you can do that without like totally stealing the wind out of the actual happening of that thing, I kind of want to see those, like that one page of like 6 or 7 panels of what that looks like. You know what I mean? But if not, let me know, because we can just skip to the other thing, which happens right after this.
I mean, we can leave it arbitrary and ambiguous if that's kind of what you're asking for.
Well, no,
I can certainly produce that.
No, I know. What I'm wondering is is it going to ruin it if you aren't arbitrary and ambiguous?
I wouldn't say all of it would be ruined, but I could certainly say that anybody who's been paying attention will probably figure out that Leo intends to start a family, and so what we would see for if we looked ahead in his life is that happening.
Okay, so we have a couple of panels as the book opens. Before all the time tunnel stuff, or we're flashing back to a couple minutes. It's one of those things where we get to see the time tunnel entry again, even though it was a couple issues ago. But it's a couple. What we open with is a couple of sunny, idyllic panels. Sort of. What's the name of that flower that makes you dream about whatever you want? From that Superman episode, for the man who has everything. What's the name of that flower?
The Black Lotus.
The Black Lotus. It's that that kind of like sunny, idyllic kind of thing, and it's Link with Arya, and surrounded by in some kind of big sunny park, and he's working and just clearly succeeding at some
Black Mercy. Thank you.
Yeah, Black Mercy, some sort of scientific thing. Another construction thing, the welding goggles are on and that kind of stuff. And then, looking up into the sky as this sort of phalanx of indistinct flying forms, not people, but more plane-like, but more bird-like, up in the sky. And, and you get Leo kind of like as this sort of speech bubble at the bottom of a couple of these panels, and you cut back to the future thing out on the field. All the apparatus is set up for the time jump, and Arya kind of coming over and kind of touching his arm, going, "Are you ready? You're a million miles away." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm ready." And he gets kind of smile. And now we're back to is that good? Is that good? Kind of the general idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the now we're back in the time tunnel, and you're at the helm, and the tunnel is curving and scrolling around, and you and kind of Otto together are piloting this. It's like, we need to get past this, and he's like, "Are you sure?" It's like, "I'm not sure it's like this is really kind of the only option we have, and Otto like agrees with that as far as it goes, and you go. But the problem is the Phoenix is still a young thing, and this is so far outside of its realm of experience that it's panicking.
Yeah, we're not so much steering as keeping its eyes forward like a bucking bronco or
Right.
a horse running away. Yeah.
And it's not it is not a smooth thing, and as a result, the tunnel twists, you zig when you should have zagged, jigged when you should have jagged, and you kind of tumble into the time tunnel wall, and it pours through. And because of your connection between you and Otto and Arya and the Phoenix and stuff like that, it is affecting you directly in a way that it's not necessarily affecting, say, Charlotte, Alicia, that sort of thing. You guys are getting tossed around and that sort of thing. You're experiencing, to a certain extent, Alicia at least, certainly experiencing to a certain degree. Oh, good, Dr. Infinity isn't done with this yet. Fan-freaking-tastic. You, however, Link, are getting one of those lovely comic book panels where you see the stricken face of the hero, and sprayed out above it like this aura or halo are all these little shattered mini images of all the various variant timelines where your dreams all go wrong and all the various ways that they go wrong. I think, are we safe talking about Infinity War right now? We are, aren't we?
I have not. I've seen the first part. Yeah.
You've seen the first set. Mike, are we clear?
I suppose.
Okay. Well, no, are we? I don't want to spoil it.
Go right ahead.
All right. Okay. All right. So in a way, it's not unlike the whole thing with Doctor Strange, like looking at every possible timeline and finding one slim line through thing. Except in this case, it's mostly just the bad. All the various ways. And it's maybe intentional. Who knows what Doctor Infinity is meaning to show? Certainly. But you're seeing all the ways that your fine plans and fine intentions and stuff like that will turn to ash in your mouth.
That comes as absolutely no surprise to me.
Sure. I take a powerful blow, and then we'll see how you weather that. Oh, that's good. That's good, isn't it? Never mind.
I just fixed one future. Bring it on.
So, okay, this is you completely ride it. Is there a thing for completely? Let me look at the thing.
I get more potential.
Yay, more potential. What? All right. Yeah. On a miss, you stand strong, mark potential as normal, and say how you weather brothers. So tell me how you. I mean, aside from I've already fixed one future. Bring it. I mean, do you?
I can tell you exactly how. Without explaining why, Leo's next development, he feels that robotics is kind of taken care of, neurotech and the design of like new robots. His robots are doing this better than he can. He's got a new field, which is time, space, and dimensional physics. This is what he's going into. And he knew this before this time tunnel business.
That's awesome. You see the one bright line through this, and it's leading straight at Dr. Infinity. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's literal as well as figurative to get out of this whole like hellish roller coaster of space and time. Maybe that's the way out of this. The one bright line is straight at Dr. Infinity.
Oh, when has Leo not charged directly at his adversary? Are you kidding me?
That is an excellent point. Have you got that like I can't remember which one of the bull moves. Do you have that one where it's just to barrel at an insurmountable barrier, roll danger instead of freak?
Yeah, it's never been rolled, but I got it.
Physics? What physics? Never been rolled. Well, by God, your last episode should be the one that you roll it for. So why don't you give me a roll as you take your little crazy thing and charge Dr. Infinity with the plane.
This is also going to be a 5, just to let you guys know.
I'm just 5, a 7, barely. So when you unleash your powers to barrel through an insurmountable barrier, roll danger instead of freak. But it is overcome the obstacle. So that's yeah. Where am I at? Oh, there we go. On a hit, you do it. So market condition, or the GM will tell you how the effect is unstable or temporary.
I marked angry, predictably.
Ha! Okay, perfect. Okay. So you kind of careen into the side of the wall, and the temporal sparks kind of are flying off of this thing, and the multicolored rainbow spray of energy and so on and so forth, and you're getting this flash. And rather than trying to fight back out of it when the wall itself keeps moving and almost kind of staying with you, you basically lean into it and push. All rockets forward, and Otto's like, "Are you?" And he doesn't even get it all out. And you kind of burst out of the time tunnel and go straight at the big entity with the glowing chest star that is Dr. Infinity, sort of looming up over this thing. You're still kind of tumbling a little bit. It's not, I mean, Phoenix is atmospheric, and this isn't really that, but it's so unexpected. You actually see this big construct thing's glowing pupilless eyes kind of go wide. Moment of satisfaction. As you crash into it. Harry, the plane that you were running alongside just basically crashed into the sidewall of the tunnel and then tore through it and accelerated straight at Dr. Infinity, leaving the time tunnel that you in shredded and ruptured and barely intact. What do you do? That is a legitimate. That is a realistic and legitimate answer.
I'll have response.
But you're a speedster, so you have all the time to say in the world that you need. So
everyone else was in the Phoenix.
You are the only one in the rapidly disintegrating water slide of time and space that you are.
I think it would be prudent to leave the vortex as quickly as possible before I end up at the end of the universe or something.
Okay. So I think, unless you have a specific move toward that, I think that's probably going to be your basic unleash your powers as you try to, because basically, well, yeah, I think that's about right. Because essentially, the time tunnel thing is disintegrating, and you're trying to just go, okay, well then I'll just do it myself. Without really knowing how. Except for the fact that I know that time tunnels exist and time travel is possible, and I'm already running real fast, so really what's the problem? That's going to be Harry's counter-argument to literally decades of science, making this happen.
Response to physics. What physics?
Physics? What physics? If I see this, I'm in trouble.
Okay.
So that is
Freak.
That is your freak. Let's see what you got.
5.
A 9. That's
holy crap.
That's plus 0. That's a pretty good roll.
I'm shocked.
Leo, how are you only rolling a +1 on your last roll? I thought you were rolling danger for that last roll, weren't you?
Yeah, danger's at 1.
What was the first? Oh, Kirby Craft was your superior. That was a +3. All right. I was just confused. I was thinking it was all the same stat. Never mind. All right, so overcome. So you can take a condition, or I can tell you how this effect is going to be unstable or temporary. Oh,
Oh,
and
unstable and temporary. Gee, I start bouncing through the timeline at inopportune moments.
I mean, I'm not saying it's the nicest present you could have brought me back from Greece, but
Andy, I love.
uh,
Poof.
yeah.
Oh, Mom, you're blowing.
Suddenly you're the slowly dying David Tennant at the end of his Doctor Who arc. Or
Ghost Peppers can anchor you.
no, wait, that would actually be Matt Smith bouncing back through his own timeline.
I thought we were just getting Flashpoint here.
So good. Or Flashpoint. Could do Flashpoint. Save your own dad. Wait, you already did that. I mean, I love that idea, and honestly, we just came up with the obvious ones. There may even be some better ideas from
But that trick never works.
Oh, but it works so well, so often. What do you think?
I'm down for that.
Unstable. We have to go with unstable.
Yeah.
I think that just. I mean, Harry attempts time travel on the fly while falling through space and time. That's gonna go super. All right. And honestly, okay. So the crew, I'm going to say crew, of the Phoenix is and crashing through Dr. Infinity as its eyes widen and then narrow. And Harry is like looking up going, guys? And then seeing how bad everything is. And then he does the only thing he can do, which is just accelerate and in the general direction of the direction the time tunnel was going. And because conveniently, when Dr. Infinity is about to be hit by a jet, they let go of the time tunnel. So we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, I feel like there we go.
Can Harry regenerate into Jay Garrick?
No. Wait, maybe? I don't know. Meanwhile, we find ourselves, we cut to, love the idea. I love the idea of Harry accelerating away and having it actually kind of look like the, take your pick, Star Trek, Star Wars, like going into warp, like that almost imperceptible slowdown and then stretching and vanishing like into like a beam kind of thing that you see with like your basic Star Wars, go to light speed. I don't know that we ever really see that in Star Trek. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen Star Trek in a really long time, but I just like that idea. Anyway, and now the truly terrifying battlescape that is the Amari home.
Yay.
So, Adam, when we last left you two, Summer had just been sort of politely, jaw-clenchingly, tensely invited in. What was the last thing you guys said? Like, I have explanations, or there's stuff I can tell you, or something?
Well, we did the comfort and support.
That Summer was saying, right. Summer did the comfort and support and said nice things, and they'd sort of invited them in. Mom wasn't there. She was sort of she was still in the back, and the dad was out there. And the sister was up or she had just come over and asked a couple questions. So,
Yeah, because Papa Mari had confused Summer for Arya.
Right. Right. And but yeah, and that was after the split, so Summer doesn't actually have memories of the time which he is actually referring to, right? Because was Summer,
Correct.
yeah, right. So that's gonna be fun. What does Summer actually remember out of that?
Basically, anything up to like issue 11, I consider fair game.
Yeah. So, uh, your dad kind of settles you guys in the front room, sort of on entertain Jordan duty, while she shows Summer sort of the stuff that Adam brought back from DC. Wink, wink. And sort of vanishes surreptitiously into the back of the house. Um, Adam, you're not so much really paying attention to the front room as much as sort of tracking what's any large shouts or anything like that from the back, which there aren't any. While your parents are both out of the room, well, Jordan's still there. Do you do anything? What do you do? Or Summer, for that matter.
For me, the only thing that I really wanted to say to the Amaris is not so much like to say something, but to let them know I might be working with Concord, or rather Adam, for his like after school activities, and she just wants to know: is there anything that they feel they need to say to her that she needs to hear in connection with that?
I see. Okay, well, we'll save that one for a bit then. Adam, is there anything you want to like say or do before your parents are kind of back in the mix?
No, I don't think so. I think Adam's just going to like right now. He is just like really enjoying not, getting to be with his family right now, especially after everything that happened in the future.
And there is a sense that you're not getting too heavily. I mean, you're not having to deal with the drama of mom being in the back and stuff because they come forward into sort of the front, and your mom comes up and sort of manages a smile at Summer and shakes hands, and always nice to meet one of Adam's friends from school. And then she goes in and starts preparing dinner, and somewhat atypically, not because your dad wouldn't help her on the kitchen, but because typically she usually dragoons one of the kids into service. Your mom and dad both start working in there, and they're really, it's just, it doesn't typically happen. It's usually one or the other. They're working together in there and sort of talking through the pass through, and occasionally, shushing Jordan because she just keeps talking even though there's, conversation going on because, she's thinking of something to say and all the adults are talking about is boring stuff. And you two are kids.
You have no idea about that.
Yeah. And you, I'm not saying I'm channeling my children, but I've said many times I don't have favorite children, but I do occasionally have least favorites. And my 4-year-old is currently the all-city winner 5 years running. Feels like 5 weeks running, anyway.
Daddy!
Oh, no. With an absolutely spot on, it's so stereotypical, it feels like it should be a parody. 14-year-old, God, Dad, eye roll. Every single time I ask for anything. It is, it's quite something. Not my favorite move. And she does it way too well. It makes me wonder where she's been watching it. Anyway, so do you two have any classes together, or how do you two know each other? and you hear your dad kind of murmur, it's like they're. Oh, do you have some? You have, and there's a little bit of chill that creeps into mom's voice. You have some after school activities together.
Yeah, that's right.
Homeroom.
I've seen some pictures of the groups that of the clubs that Adam's been involved with, and I haven't seen you in any of them, or have I? Or did you just join recently when you got to Gardner?
I just joined recently.
Interesting. Now, would Summer? This has been about 2 weeks. Would Summer have been making the news at all, or are people mistaking her for Arya or Leo? Or they're not making the news at all?
To the extent that she would be, and she's not going out of her way to do so, but if anybody reported it, it's a flying armored figure that uses the grappling system that Leo, developed. Any normal person at a distance would be like, "Oh yeah, it's Link." Anybody who got an up close look, or the ponies, or anybody else who kind of paid attention, would be like, "That suit looks different."
Yeah. So there's some, in the right fan, inside the right fandom, it's being heavily discussed. Outside that fandom, it's barely even a blip on the radar. I think probably Adam's dad has been aware of stuff happening with people who are sort of basically match the power signature for Link and the power style for Link. Mostly because he's been frantically looking for any sign whatsoever of where the
You're
hell his
breaking
son
up
is.
on me.
Sorry. I'll wait for a second and see if it catches up.
You're actually fine on this end.
Okay.
Same for me.
How about now, Bill? Are you hearing me okay or no? He's not answering.
Not yet.
Okay. Maybe Denver talking to Seattle? Maybe?
You're fine here for us.
Yeah. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So my thought is that Lieutenant Amari would have tracked that there's still some Link-like activity, whether it's Link or somebody like Link or something like that, but something that points at the menagerie. He would have been tracking that and probably paying particular attention to it, not theorizing like this is a different Link, but simply frantic for any kind of news that would lead to some indication of what had been going on with Adam. So he'd probably been aware, and it wouldn't take him. I mean, I don't know. He wouldn't put it together at this point because he hasn't seen Radiance in action at all. Like there isn't really footage as such, and certainly hasn't seen you be her or anything like that. But certainly he's aware that. I mean, he could put that together once a little bit more data is,
You were okay, and then it just went all to pieces
I'm
again. Sorry.
I don't know what I could you
Bill.
yeah, you say it, Mike. See, maybe he'll...
I was gonna say Bill is tethering off his phone, so could be that too.
It could be data. Yeah, I don't want to have you reconnect because I don't know that's necessarily going to make anything better. Mostly what I'm saying is that Lieutenant Amari might have some hint that you've been active, but he wouldn't necessarily know it was you, just that there was something. He disconnected, come back.
Actually, I think it's me this time.
Okay.
I'm on a Wi-Fi hotspot, so.
Right. Did you disconnect from Discord and come back, or just?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I got kicked off actually.
Cool.
So
mostly what I was saying is that Lieutenant Amari would know that there had been some Link-like activity in the city.
I got the gist of that. So
yeah, and he wouldn't necessarily put it together that it was you, but he would maybe if the conversation went along, he'd probably pick up on that, but not yet. Anyway, so the evening goes, or the dinner rather goes pleasantly enough. What does mom make? What does mom make, Adam? What do mom and dad make?
Jeez.
Midweek supper,
Oh,
knowing that
it
midweek
it
dinner,
is.
knowing that Jordan's already going to be up late because of visitors and because of so on and so forth. What do they do?
I'm gonna go with let's just say it's like meatloaf and potatoes or something like
Yeah.
that.
Or maybe like a pasta and sauce. That doesn't take very long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Because
want
they
to.
know that she likes it, and therefore will be quiet during dinner.
Oh yeah, she might actually eat. Yeah, you go for the easy wins. All right, so Jordan basically jabbers, asks lots of questions. Um, uh, like, what would she? No, I take that back. Doesn't so much ask questions. She pretty much just talks. She tells uh, her new best friend everything about everything with her friends at school, or daycare, or whatever. Her friends at school and her toys and her favorite TV shows, and it's just this signal. Her parents kind of let that go and are just willing to have the dinner be silent. And then they sort of excuse themselves afterwards and getting Jordan off to bed. Um, Sort of tag teamers, so that happens pretty quickly. Uh, they do get you. They do. She demands that some. Well, no, she's torn by this. Uh, Typically, this would be the time when Adam would be demanded to read the bedtime story, since he'd been gone. But Summer is new.
She pleads for a story from both of them.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta get a story for each one. So, and it would be Adam first, and then Summer for the wrap up. So you guys are shanghaied into reading, and then you come back
This
out
is
and go ahead.
this is a story about Jason Quill. Wrong fan fiction. Just a second.
Wrong.
This is a story about ponies.
There you go. There is a there is a series called The Princess in Black, who's a princess who secretly protects the kingdom on her pony Blackie, who when she's just being a princess is sort of a unicorn or something like that, or pretends to be a unicorn. So yeah, it's a princess superhero story. Um, that you find actually quite delightful and amusing. Um, there's some good bits in there. She does make you go back at one point in time because there's the princess uses various moves when she's fighting the trolls that keep kind of crawling out of the ground to take on this thing, and she informs you rather peremptorily that there is a very specific way that you have to announce some of the moves specifically, and she gets up on the bed and demonstrates Twinkle Twinkle Little Smash and how the body has been and the sort of like the let's get ready to rumble voice that you have to do while you're doing that, and then and demonstrating that. So she makes you go back through that a couple times until you finally get the Twinkle Twinkle Little Smash maneuver. In any case, you wrap that up, tuck her in again, come back for water, start up music, get back out there, and your dad's kind of cleaning stuff up in the kitchen. Your mom is still sitting at the table. And he says, Summer, ice cream?
I would love some, thank you.
And he gets it out. Have a seat. And uses, obviously using this angle to get everybody sitting back down at the table again. Your mom's gone back to being pensive, Adam. Pretty small smile for Summer when she sits down. She does not have any ice cream. Neither does your dad, but he gets like Small bowls out for you too.
I just know how this one goes. Adam's dad's like, here, let's have some ice cream. Dad, I'm not supposed to have ice cream after 7. Eat your ice cream, son.
Eat your ice cream. Dad is kind of trying to a certain extent, is kind of struggling to figure out what, what to start with, really, with his, this part of the conversation. I don't even know what I'm looking at here with this car. What?
I was gonna say, if you want Adam to break the silence, we can do this in maximum awkwardness.
Go with maximum awkwardness. I don't see how this could possibly go wrong.
Yeah, it's just like everybody's eating their ice cream. There's that uncomfortableness. Adam finally gets the urge to talk. It's like, Dad, did you tell Mom that I went to the future?
Oh, nice. Good start.
I didn't have time to. He turns to Summer. Summer, did you also go to the future? Like he's trying to have polite conversation. And he's just like, your mom is. How did this happen? You're not exactly sure what she's asking. Like, how did this specific thing happen? How did we? I mean, there's an angle where she's asking, how did we get in this position where we're having to ask questions like, did you and your friends both go to the future?
I can just be like Adam, like, if Summer doesn't answer, did you also go to the future? Is just be like, no, Summer wasn't with us, but so there was an assassin from the future who came back in order to steal stuff from my friend Leo, except for he wasn't really trying to hurt anybody, but he thought that we could get away with it, even though he was using bombs, and he's not exactly the smartest guy, but once you get to know him, he's actually really nice. And anyway, we had to go to the future in order to stop all the bad stuff from happening. And I feel like I've just gotten myself deeper and deeper. That's where he shuts up and just looks at his parents in their horrified faces.
The first rule of holes: stop digging.
What? And your dad's heard some short portion of that, right? He got a little bit of that.
Yeah, he got a little bit of that. When Adam tried to be like, he tried to give him like the, my life isn't ever going to be normal anymore.
Right.
Speech.
Right. Where is everyone? Is everyone all right? This was your mom. Because of course she acts to make sure everybody's okay.
And Adam's just gotta be like, so here's the part about that. We were coming back, and we were supposed to come back the same time we left, except for when I was when I was making sure that time didn't get all wobbly around the tunnel. Crazy Space Lady, I am sure that is how his mother has referred to Sable Star every time. Crazy Space Lady.
Right, yeah. And you see her mouth, the word tunnel, like kind of half shaking her head, like, anyway, Crazy Space Lady, and she's like, oh.
Crazy Space Lady tackled me out of the tunnel, and I got separated from everybody, but time is relative, and
So if the intention was to come back right when you left, Adam, this is your dad. Adam, that was weeks ago.
I
I understand why you, because of what you just said, I understand why you didn't get back at the right time. Where's everyone else?
That's a really good question.
I
So
left before
I
that party
didn't
took
tell
off.
you the part where everybody else ran into a Dr. Infinity before we came back.
Did you see that or not?
No, they told us about it when we got back because we kind of all met back up at the base.
You mean the running into it back in Halcyon City, not the time tunnel shaking.
Correct. And that's gonna be like Adam just being like, so I know she
Dr.
does
Infinity, and this is your mom or your dad rather. It's like that.
And Dr. Infinity, everything I know about them is they really don't like time travel, and Adam kind of gives like this really like pensive look over towards Summer, is like, I could have been the lucky one.
Did you know about this? This is your father kind of. This is Adam's dad kind of struggling to get the scope of this thing. Did you know about any of this? I mean, you had to have known that Adam was back, or you wouldn't have come here. What? He kind of trails off, not knowing what to say.
I found out when Adam texted me, and I came over immediately to make sure he was okay. Before that, I knew that the group intended to take some action about this, but I wasn't aware of specifically what.
Why didn't they bring you with them if you're part of the extracurriculars?
I only actually got recruited for that as part of them leaving, so that there would be somebody kind of here minding the store, you might say. But I'm normally not associated with that group.
Now, the dad kind of frowns at that because that's just a headache of, that's real close to unlicensed, unsanctioned vigilantism type. Although you could, I mean, honestly, it takes about a 10-second call to Jason to get the appropriate blessings, but get you on the roster. But I don't know that you necessarily would have done that because I think you've been kind of under Jason's radar a little bit with regards to this, at least momentarily. Not sure what to think about it. I changed my hair, but I don't know if I want anybody to see it yet. So you've just been improvising until everyone gets back.
There's a little more going on than that, but yes, that's essentially correct.
Well, we really only have, I mean, we'll give you the same guidelines that we give all of Adam's friends with regards to that, is that we don't like the extracurriculars to come into the house. So we try to keep that, we like home things to be at home and everything else to be someplace else. So please just keep that in mind when you're coming by for a visit. We would appreciate it.
I cannot tell you how important it is to be personally, to be able to blend in and just be ordinary. So I'll be happy to live with that. But I also want to say, if there's anything else that you need me to hear or need to say about Adam and I working together, if that should happen, I want to hear those things, and I'll do my best to uphold them.
Well, all right. I'm sure as long as you can abide by fairly simple guidelines, everything else is going to be, and there's a massive like sonic boom crack outside. Before we figure out what that is, does that does that conversation trigger any of your Janus stuff with regards to secret identities, that kind of thing, or no?
It might. It's a little subjective.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've like specifically said I am this person. You just, I have a weird life. I'm not. It's kind of up to you.
I would say when you spend time talking to someone about your identity, you can ask them which label you want to impose, which she kind of did. Is like, who do you want me to be
Oh, yeah.
when I'm around your son?
Well,
Very nice.
that is very good. I like that. This may not be doing you any favors. I'm not. Oh, actually, it's actually okay. So it's his mom that really answers that. We just very much need things to be, and she kind of reaches out and puts her hand on yours. We just really need things to be normal here, just absolutely as much as we can, because so much isn't. We just need things to be normal. Can you do that? And right about then is when the sonic boom crack happens. But she'd like to shift your mundane.
Mundane up, and what else?
Ooh, danger down. Danger down?
Done.
Danger down? I think danger down. Yeah.
Yeah, Summer will be happy to do that. And as the sonic boom hits, she will just kind of wince like, I'm really sorry.
I am so sorry about
that wasn't me. I'm really sorry.
So sorry about what's about to happen. I don't even know what's about to happen, but I'm really sorry about that. Sonic boom. Adam, what do you do?
Well, after the little flicker of fire goes out,
Flicker of fire.
because I imagine that sort of just triggers his concordance. Is just is it ready for danger?
Already flickering to the surface. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's just he kind of looks at his dad. He's like, "Dad can't be excused from the table."
He doesn't nod. He doesn't acquiesce, but he doesn't say no. He sort of exhales tightly through his nostrils, but slowly. It's not a huff. It's a, Yes. Also, it's getting brighter outside.
I think now is time to scramble.
Yeah. Mom is she gets up and is sort of walking back to the hallway that leads back to the bedrooms and stuff like that, and just sort of positioning herself there. What do you do? And also, Summer, what do you do? But Adam, I think, first.
Man, I know what I want to do, but would Adam do that?
Front door, backyard. Do you power up right through the roof and leave a hole gaping right above the dining room table? I wouldn't necessarily suggest that, but I'd be happy.
This is a little too close to home.
Yeah, you think?
So, Adam's just gonna look at Summer and is like, "Do you need to do anything?"
Yeah, I think I should go outside and maybe call someone to help.
All right, and Adam will just kind of give a thumbs up, and that's when it's just that sort of flare over him as he turns into Concord, still with the thumbs up, and then he just blinks.
Okay, where do you vorp to? And Summer, do you go out front or do you go out the back? Like out through the kitchen, sort of a door.
That's actually the last thing he says before he goes, backyard has high fences.
Nice.
And it's just
vorp.
Yep.
Ploop. Plorp.
Yeah,
that sound effect is.
300 feet over the neighborhood.
Okay.
I will follow Adam's lead on this one and take his advice.
Okay. There is a meteor falling straight at the neighborhood, or something very flaming coming straight at you. Not straight at you, but straight at the neighborhood, and pretty close to straight at you. Summer, so you're, kind of hurrying out to the backyard. We haven't seen her switch. What's this look like? Let's enjoy the moment.
So you've probably seen those those kind of stylish artistic tile things where it's like there's like multicolored tiles and they just kind of flip in place.
Yeah.
Her whole body is that. And there's specialized mechanisms to like lock her hair in place and like pull it out of sight. So she's it's like instead of like Infinity War era Iron Man suiting up and the suit going around him, it's more like she becomes this other thing kind of in place.
Very, very cool. I like it. Does she have? I can't remember if she can fly.
Yeah, she can at this point. Yeah. So
right.
basically, think a featureless white mannequin, like in her shape, that can basically just levitate. There's no jet effect or anything like that. It's just.
Yeah, I've been watching a little bit too much. Hang on. I've been watching a little bit too much Westworld for a featureless white mannequin to sound very comforting, as evidenced by the link. But nevertheless, I will go with it. Okay. And then she kind of...
Don't be racist.
Those things are so creepy. Anyway, so you out there, you flip over, and then you look up, and there's like some thing coming. What do? Coming down. Flames. Looks meteor-y. Fiery ball of doom.
Like how big is it?
It is
like house-sized, block-sized.
We'll say house-sized. And it's,
oh yeah, I'll tackle that.
Do you have like a good do you have a like? Well, this is maybe analyze the situation kind of thing. But do you have like sort of that tactical HUD thing that gives you readouts on stuff and mass and speed and all that kind of stuff?
She doesn't have like a really sophisticated sensor package, but she does know science. So, for example, she can do things like estimating distance and speed from the apparent diameter of an object or similar astronomical feats.
Sure.
And she thinks really fast.
Right. So given the distance that this thing still is kind of away, and the sonic boom that you had, and it was far enough away not to shatter. I mean, you're figuring this thing is coming in at, multitudes of Mach, like Mach 12 kind of, like it's coming in re-entry speeds, whatever the hell it is. You could certainly analyze the situation. That might be good.
I will throw those dice.
You throw those dice? Let's throw those dice. I don't know that it looks like that, but thank you for that graphic illustration of the roll superior, full hit. Okay. Ask me some questions. I will tell you no lies.
Okay, so I think here's the biggest threat is kind of an obvious.
Still gives you. Is this the one that? Yeah, it gives you a +1 forward if you want to.
But so with the other two more meaningful questions. I think how could we best end this quickly? It's the second question, which comes from the first, which is what here can I use to slow this thing down?
What here can I use to slow this thing down? Uh, given your, as you say, extensive knowledge of science, and sort of getting the sort of understanding what this thing really is. Between that and being able to get up there where you can apply yourself to the problem, plus having Concord to hand, teamwork. But take a +1 for it on acting on these actions. How can we best end this quickly? Diverting it. Given enough time, which there hasn't been a lot of, given enough time, you're going to get some of the city's standard sort of rapid response for this kind of stuff. Mobilized, but simply getting it off its course that's going to lead it to basically obliterating the southern half of Halcyon City. Okay, assuming you're already flying, but just getting Adam, unless he's got some sort of. But you've seen what he can do with his little energy constructs and nets and bubbles and things like that. So hopefully those things can be pushed. And that's your initial reaction. What do you say to Adam as you sort of take off and head up? And Adam, what are you doing while you're? Because this thing is still, dozens of miles away, really. But just up,
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is fish for possible teamwork here. Whenever rolling is involved.
I think we can probably do. I think we can probably do the team move. I think that's fair. I think we can do the team move and get some points out there.
Well, I was going to say
or were you going for something else?
I was just going to make sure we had narrative justification for it if it actually came up.
Okay, well that's fine too. We can wait for the teamwork thing because I think that'll probably come up here in a second. Anyway,
But, yeah, Concord's just gonna
go ahead.
Fill up one hand with blue light energy, look over at Summer, and just be like, blast it.
Slow it down and divert it. I'm gonna start looking for a place to put it down, and just start putting on the brakes if you can. That'll help.
And then he'll switch the other hand for green energy and be like, okay.
All right. And you guys have a couple of sort of teamwork points there, and nothing else. Summer can help by virtue of having given him advice. Summer, what are you looking for? Or you can just skip ahead and tell me what you find in terms of a place to put this thing.
If it's coming straight for Halcyon, I think any diversion is going to have to be pretty serious, and it's going to come down somewhere in North Carolina, and that's not going to be cool. But we have another option, which is either
skip it off the bay.
Well, there's definitely that, but it's going to set up a tidal wave. But another option would be see if we can either get it moving faster to heat it up and get the temperature above the melting point and sort of slag it, at which point it becomes much more controllable. Or otherwise try to skip it off the atmosphere, and we can see if Concord's powers can do that. So she'll try to come up with some kind of sciencey thing, but barring something like that, we'll try to send it towards the water and just make sure that nobody's out there.
Yeah. If you're not driving into the water, you're not going to get the tidal wave if you can kind of hit it at an angle, because it'll bounce off in the same.
Oh yeah, but even if we hit the water, there's going to be a huge wave.
Oh yeah,
so.
For sure. Okay, so. Adam, why don't you give me, I think it's going to be Unleash Your Powers. I think that's most appropriate.
I'm not defending the city?
You can certainly do Defend the City. If that also absolutely works.
All right.
What did I didn't even...
I can apparently deflect meteors.
I gotta look. I didn't look. An 11! A full hit. All right, so you
And I think this is kind of Summer's feeding him info. Adam is just putting up a really big shield of courage and just trying to angle it.
Yeah, It's it's a very large thing. So you just keep extending it. I'm not going to say it ends up being somewhat like the Hot Wheels ramp from the absolutely terrible Green Lantern movie, but whatever. But there is a little bit of that sort of like, and a couple of these the first couple of impact, they're very gradual. The first one's very kind of hard. It's like too hard an angle, way too hard. You're gonna get pieces flying everywhere. And you do see a couple of like smaller little flaming bits flying out, but they're relatively they're quite small, and will probably burn up fairly quickly. But angle it, little small moves, and so you're kind of moving this thing, and kind of closing with it as you go, and certainly it's coming down. So it's probably, I'll say 10 to 15 miles over the city as you kind of level the angle enough to get where it's clearly not going to impact the city or any place important, and probably, I mean, with the angle and the speed you're talking about, it isn't even really talking about the bay. It's going to be the ocean out past the breaks, out past like Kill Devil Prison and stuff, because that little thin line, I'm sure there's a name for that little landmass that sort of runs all up along the coast there. Really out past it. Yeah, sort of the strand that runs out along there, along the coast, and then out into the bay.
Is that where that cruise ship full of nuns is traveling on a pilgrimage?
The cruise ship full of nuns are all traveling on a fuel tanker? Yes, that's where that's at. No. And as you're kind of closing and angling and stuff like that, and this thing kind of goes by, and it's still obviously going at like Mach 7. Summer, you're ahead of it in terms of the end because you had a short distance to go, and Adam kind of goes, "Oh," and Summer. Hang on.
What?
I want Mike to own how this. Hang on. Mike. Oh wait, that's the wrong command.
/W.
Yeah. There.
I foresaw this. But,
Did you? Did you?
Huh?
The nuns at St. Agnes predicted this. No.
Is this like the Abbey of Orphan Kitten Rescue as well?
No. As the flaming thing goes flashing by Concord.
Yeah, it's just like Summer. Change of plans. It's the Phoenix.
Summer, what do you do?
What?
And we get this moment where we see, like, the comic book panel is shot past the flaming, what we see now, this sort of re-entry on fire, space shuttle kind of re-entry fire type of thing. We're seeing past that to a very distant speck that is Summer, and the single word speech bubble above her going ... What? Adam? Summer? Anybody? I foresaw this. Of course you did.
Oh no,
No, I believe you. I absolutely believe you.
I had a thought here, and yeah, so I think that's so it deflected off the shield though, right?
Yeah, it is. No? It has been re-angled and will certainly not impact the city and should safely strike the ocean and utterly disintegrate. So well done. Good job defending
but
the city.
hopefully not burn up on re-entry.
Well, no.
Well, hopefully it's fire resistant.
It'll be extinguished by impacting the ocean long before it. No, I'm kidding. No, it's got more than. It's certainly not burning up. There's that first impact was a bit of a doozy, but yeah, the problem is the impact with the ocean is probably going to be very, very unhealthy.
Yeah, so I think Adam's like dismissed the shield, and now it's just like throwing a line of energy out to it to try and like grab onto the back of it, and it's that sort of like really awkward like try to stop it, except for you have nothing to dig your heels into while you're flying.
And it's also like it's still going like Mach 7, Mach 8.
Oh yeah, so I imagine Adam's getting dragged at this point.
Concord, how much can you teleport?
A bit. Or actually, he's like, ah.
Never. I mean, to say that Concord's powers are largely untested at full capacity is, given what he's already done, is still is ultimately a terrifying statement. So that's what you're saying. Summer, are you doing anything with that? Now, I mean, given this extra context, you could certainly see how this could be, yeah, house size, except not that house. It's,
Well, like all we can do is like either try to get it off course or change the rules here. What she was thinking was if Concord can teleport this thing, even in place, if he can flip it, as he's teleporting to point up instead of down, that buys us all kinds of time.
Well, it's still a angled momentum kind of thing. So if he changes the angle by too much, right, with all the momentum saved in the atmosphere, there's going to be very bad things happening to the wings and stuff.
Well, she doesn't understand his teleportation system well enough to predict what would happen.
Yeah,
all she can do is bring up suggestions.
Yes. So you could try teleporting. You can see he's got kind of a sneaky kind of energy thing wrapped around it. That does not seem to be having any effect whatsoever. There's no light indicators. As near as you, I mean, the thing is an aerodynamic flying thing, so it's responding as much as anything can by simply the fact of it being aerodynamic and moving quickly enough to be, for that to matter, flying. But other than that, it's clearly a dead stick at this point. So you could try teleporting it. Where do you think is a good place to teleport it, Adam?
I think Adam's gonna ask Summer that. It's like, space?
Just straight up.
Okay.
Give us more time. Yeah, that's actually not a terrible idea. Just get more time for it. Is that just an overcome, or what is that? Or do you need to burn for that?
Oh, I'm probably unleashing my powers unless you want me to burn here.
I'm fine with let's just do it as an unleash the powers, I think.
Okay.
Better Phoenix than me. I like that.
Because I think this is going to be like Adam trying to figure out, it's like, okay, space. How do I teleport to space? How do I teleport this thing to space? So.
Yep. Yeah, because you've never really tried to teleport. Has you ever teleported something that isn't you?
I just did it on
the facet from the future.
Yeah.
Right, the facet from the future. So that's bringing back a new trick from the future. Classic comic book. All right, so yeah, or I mean, you could go either way. You could teleport yourself too, like get up close to it.
Well, that's kind of what. Well, let's see how this roll goes, and then I'll kind of tell you.
Okay, that sounds
what I foresee here.
That sounds perfect. Oh, I mean, there's enough points, but I don't know if there's enough people. Not that that's a bad thing, but
yeah, because I kind of see this being like Adam grabbing onto one of his emotional tethers to do the teleport, just sort of trying to circumnavigate the Phoenix in order to pull it through the portal. And it's just every time he goes for it, it's just goes a little far and tether snaps and tether snaps. It's
no, I don't want you to see, and this should fill you with fear. I don't want you to fail.
There's enough team and there's NPCs on hand that I could pull this out. Right.
I like him. I mean, we don't have to. We can go whichever way you guys want. They're your points to spend. I am fine with it being a 5 and a success because I have things to do as far as that goes. But we can go any which way. And I say this partly because I know Mike loves a good I rolled low, please hurt me result as well. So what say you, Mike? What say you, Adam?
Oh no, I can go either way with this, but like, yeah. How do you want this to go, Joyce?
Uh, do, is it fair for me to want things? I think you succeed, and I think you succeed by virtue of getting up close and try because the mass is so big. You know, Fassa was so you basically like probably even almost. Yeah, you basically the effect's not unlike Harry speeding up and stretching, just flying so fast to catch up to this thing, and then immediately trying to teleport the whole damn mask. 'Cause you can't imagine doing it at a distance because there's just so much of it.
Mhm.
I can give you a downside for this. It's not much of one, but like that's an option.
What emotional tether? Tell me about the emotion. Which one were you what were you using?
So I only have one for space,
Okay.
and that's the one where in game 4,
Right. Oh, you were getting
Adam
the warning.
and Charlotte went into space, and that was the first time the Concordance talked to Adam.
Right. Right. And you have emotional tethers, obviously, to basically everybody on that ship. So certainly that. Holding on to them isn't the problem. There's just so much. So there's actually. Yeah. So you kind of get this thing. It's not unlike almost the kind of position that you end up in, like you see so often with like a Superman or a Supergirl kind of thing, or underneath the jet trying to push the nose up, kind of a deal. But without actually pushing, you got yourself, you sort of surrounded by your engine thing. So the flames coming off this thing aren't really the problem. But you feel like you need to touch it and push. And there's just so you establish this connection to all the things that you care about in there, and you reach out back to this memory of you and Charlotte in space, and and hearing that signal from the concordance really clearly, kind of for the first time. And sort of that sense of getting away from the earth, where Saul first starts to wake up. Can I say I love the irony that it took me this long to sort of think about the fact that soul and Sal are like one letter and just a bit of a inflection apart from each other. I'm slow.
Oh,
I'm slow sometimes.
you went for you're hitting up all of my like thought up craziness now.
Yeah, aren't I? But that was the first time Saul started to wake up and reaching out there, and you just got this narrow tunnel really to get to this space because of just that one thin, and there's so much to pull through this space, and the pulling goes down into the just goes down into the core of you, because it's not so much that it's not your mind pulling, it's not your energy pulling or anything like that. It's like it's pulling on parts of your body. It just what could be. I mean, in retrospect, you'll probably think to yourself, this is probably a good indicator that I'm doing it wrong, or I shouldn't be doing it at all. And you ride over this pain or pull through it. With basically this thought in your mind, I'm either going to pass out or I'm going to make this happen. Or it's either going to kill me or I'm going to make this happen or something. But you basically pull them through this tiny link, this little tenuous connection, and through that, and pull them through. And they don't teleport, Summer, as you're kind of, because they're coming pretty close. They don't teleport in the way that you've seen Adam teleporting in the past, or that you even kind of remember Adam teleporting in the past from, sort of shared memories and stuff like that. It isn't like a poof kind of thing. It's like they get drawn through a straw. It doesn't look pleasant. You find yourself, Adam, you come through in space, and summer is, and there's this cacophony of the memories that you've got going on in your head, and the things that you're remembering from that time, and there's also summer kind of on the comms, like, where are you? Did it work? That kind of stuff. You're sort of like slowly tumbling, okay? And you're anything you say back to Summer, you're almost kind of talking over the stuff that the memories that you still have going on in your head that are playing like at like loud conversational level from that time that you connected to. But you're still hearing Summer, so there is at least that thought, like, well, at least I didn't accidentally go back 6 months in time.
Would you say that this is a powerful emotional blow?
I'm actually going to, yeah, but I'm not going to have you take a powerful blow because I'm actually, well, no, I take that back. I'll have you take a powerful blow, but then there's another thing that happens right after this. So there's take a powerful blow, and then there's this other thing that happens as a result of the fail. But what do you,
fine with that.
while this is all happening and you're tumbling through all this stuff, what do you sort of say to Summer? Because I want Summer, as a total meta level, I want Summer to have a signal she can home in on and fly at, so that she can get here.
Well, here, let me do this first. It's gonna use this to gauge Adam's mental state.
Oh, the take a powerful blow.
Uh-huh.
Ooh. That painful middle ground of take a powerful blow.
Oh no, it's the good part of take a powerful
Is
blow
it?
because it's the meaty part of it. Yeah, we'll check 2 conditions.
Ooh.
Then.
Okay.
And so it's just sort of Adam, like you were saying, Adam, like, or Concord tumbling, and it's just like
The physical pain and the emotional trauma.
well, and I just see like Adam, like, just sort of like doing that sort of like uncomfortably close close up on the face as he's kind of like eyes blinking, lights coming on his face and everything. It's just like
Summer's voice in the comms, like, sort of
coming in
at the
like,
same time as still these, like, Charlotte talking from back then, and the sort of the signal that you're getting from the concordance and all this kind of stuff sort of mixing together. And, like, do you say, what do you say, what do you do, I guess?
Let's see.
I mean, if the answer is simply groan, that's acceptable.
I think it's like groan, and just like space is never the answer.
And you're not even sure if you even really say that so much as think it, or whether or not your lips are making the right sounds. Mumble, mumble. Summer, he's saying something. You have a radio signal to move on. How fast can you go?
Really goddamn fast.
I want to see how fast that is. So I'm gonna have you in a second do unleash your powers, because I like that. And the other portion of this, Adam, is going to be this will be lovely. I think I'm going to give you angry. You've got one more condition, because what he says is he kind of groans. He goes, space is never the answer, and your head is still spinning. And the last thing you clearly hear from those memories that are channeling is the concordance saying, enemies are coming. And right then, Sable Star hoves into view behind you in the frame and slashes your back with her sword. And he screams over the mic link.
Hey, Doyce.
Yeah.
You're making me very happy here.
There's no condition for happy, so take angry instead.
Okay.
All right. That's hilarious. All right. Uh, we have a compressed amount of time here. Give me an unleash your powers, Radiance, please.
Well, she did a terrible job earlier, so she is now reaffirming her heroic identity
Okay.
and switched freaking mundane.
That works. Lovely.
Nope.
Oh, what? Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing to be done for that. Take potential. Concord, also, you should have taken potential a while back too.
Oh, I did.
I think this is fine. Like, her being a very novice hero is kind of her jam right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I am absolutely okay with that. I'm just trying to think of what this looks. I don't have a problem with her activating her powers. It's just a matter of maybe too much, too soon, kind of.
She flies so fast she overshoots.
Or blows out every window, like in this whole residential area for like a quarter mile in every direction, kind of deal. But she was kind of out away from the city. But I don't know that necessarily matters.
There's plenty of windows in the suburbs.
Yes, certainly.
Including the Amaris.
Instead of that, I could
those are
also
expensive windows.
Wait.
I could also suggest that Sable Star sees this coming as befits Sable Star's like past,
Yeah.
image as like this experienced villain who knows what we're doing, is effortlessly just running the show.
Yeah.
And is ready and prepared for her.
Yeah. Well, the reason I was thinking about the the unintentional it's the Armiger thing that you wrote up where he's like, the bullets didn't hit me and they sort of accidentally hit other people, kind of deal where you realize that because she's thinking I can go really, really fast and only a few seconds later realizes what a terrible, terrible idea that is where she's at. But
there's no longer a high fence around the Amari's backyard.
Well, no, she moved enough that they're not really that close to that. But
Okay.
I mean, I was thinking of that mostly, Bill, because I was thinking in terms of her, being a bit of a novice and also thinking I must go as fast as I possibly can, and sort of those two combinations. But I'm fine with Sable Star being, absolutely ready.
Yeah, I mean, just fictionally speaking, I think she was high up enough that
Right.
probably wouldn't have happened anyway.
Sure.
And this feels more like it sets something up that's new, so
All right.
that's why I want.
I am going to say, because it is a pretty bad roll. There's a bit of panic going on here. So I think the best way to apply what you're talking about with Sable Star is to give you a +1 forward against your first thing with Sable Star. Is that fair?
Sure.
And pick a condition. This will be Summer's first condition. Yay!
I think Insecure is as indicated.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go Insecure and then a +1 forward on dealing with Sable Star. Dave, we're gonna roll the Dr. Infinity thing forward because clearly there's issues with getting it all squeezed in, squozed in. So we'll roll that forward until we have a session where we get to do it. We are so tight. Okay, so Summer racing forward. Adam slashed. Charlotte, this is going to be, I think, hopefully relatively short because we're really kind of introducing things here. Charlotte, we have a shot of you. So the ship's, he's tumbling, screaming, and the ship is still kind of tumbling, and we are seeing the inside of the ship, and everyone kind of,
Free fall.
sort of in free fall, kind of tumbling a little bit. And Charlotte is corporeal again, but her eyes are closed. She seems almost peaceful. And we get a nice close up of her face, and then we kind of almost go through that into that lovely sunlit garden behind the Palmer family home, with Charlotte walking across the lawn toward the gazebo, right? Where somebody is sitting and waiting for her. Your first impression really is that it's your dad, your father, as you're approaching. But as you get closer, you realize that the attire is wrong, and that you are in fact looking at good old Magus Everard.
One Piece or two?
In One Piece or two. In One Piece, he is as he would, he is for all intents and purposes as he would be seen. I think you just got a thing where you can like look at, I mean, if nothing else, just for the picture.
If he's in One Piece, does he have a straw hat?
But
That was for James, right?
Yes, it was.
Terrible.
Thank you.
King.
Terrible. But, appropriate. All right. So he's sitting there in the shade. There's a tall glass with lemonade or something in it. A big pitcher with lots of sweat beads on it. And he kind of looks, he leans slightly to the right, resettles himself in the chair so he can lean his head back and turn and look toward you and kind of, look up and regard you, casually as you approach, and a little bit of smile, and says, "Miss Charlotte, how are things going?"
Mind that I would like to give you a piece of my mind, sir.
I'm sure I probably deserve that as much as I deserve. Probably there's many ladies out there who would like to give me a piece of their mind. But why don't you be the first, or at least the first today? Have a seat, please. I am at your leisure, or my leisure, something, your mind. I mean, we are in your mind right now, so giving me a piece of it, I suppose, is only fair.
Now I have him here. I wasn't planning on having him here.
You weren't having him where? Having him in your...
I thought I was going to have to go looking for him. I didn't expect him to show up in my brain.
Nobody expects the Magus Everard.
I can jump back to you right at the end, because we'll probably continue this conversation more fully at the thing. But we'll come back in just a minute here. I want to get around two folks. Okay, so Harry. The first, because of course, you almost make it. You almost not only reestablish get the time tunnel back on, sort of the effect, but you almost hit the original intended target. You actually do. In another time, in another place, there's a little narration, a little yellow box. It's never good when those happen on your panels. In another time, in another place, Harry and the Gale family ever after will refer to this effect as slippage. But that is many years from now, when the term is finally coined. so you do that classic sort of speedster thing where you sort of skid to a stop in the middle, on the street, in the middle of Helsinki City. Where were you and Andy meeting for your date? Where was the date going to be?
That's
You can say, even if
really
she was,
good question.
even if she was going to say, you can say. I mean, does she go the predictable route and take you to, a 5 alarm, uh, Aztec themed
Alpha House.
South African or South American place, or does she go a slightly different route and go the way of like a traditional Nairobi cuisine with more palm oil than any person could ever possibly need to eat? And
The Aztec part of the theme is human sacrifice.
yeah, well, no, it's I just spent about a month with and he actually, I'm particularly comforted by this because he actually used a line directly out of the Rivers of London series, almost word for word, so which makes me think it must be a sort of a cultural joke kind of thing. But the way he explained it is that his mother didn't think that if the tablecloth wasn't on fire, the cook had been stingy with the pepper. He didn't say it exactly like that, but he basically did. And he was.
It's nice Jamaican.
No, he was native.
I,
He was native to Nairobi, sort of Sierra Leone, that kind of general region.
I think that she probably decided that the date would be to the little local home-style Mexican restaurant that when they get non-Latino people who ask for spicy food, they give them the Buelo version. The toned down. You have to either
A 4 out of 10.
you have to either be Latino or
somebody with them saying,
be
no,
there
no,
with a
One
friend.
vouch for you.
yeah, no,
Be there
no,
with a friend, or have been there enough and sent the dishes back.
yeah. So you sort of skid to a stop outside of it, and you're like, the first thing you do is like check your watch, and you're like, yes. And you can see her inside. She's at a table at the window. Actually, she's not even at a table at the window. She's outside, like along the sidewalk with a couple of tables out there, and kind of in a white sundress kind of a thing. Hair's back, but down. Looks very nice. And she's getting closer because you're still sort of skidding. You're still kind of moving. You're looking down. It's like you stopped, but you're on ice or on grease or something, and you're not moving, and there's no real momentum, but you're shifting. You're still moving along there, and you don't really feel any friction against the ground or anything like that. You're just like the world is moving past, and you're right there, and you're gonna move right past her, and she's looking right at you, but she's not seeing you.
Yeah.
And as you're moving past it, you're seeing time pass on like a time lapse in compression, where you actually watch her wait for like an hour and a half. Water glass after water glass, turning down food, eating the first basket of chips. God, I'm terrible. I'm literally the worst. But eating the first basket of chips with the salsa, picking at the second basket of chips, shoving them kind of away so that they end up on the side of the table where you should be sitting. Just sitting with her arms, like her elbows up on the table and her arms kind of crossed and glaring, and then not glaring and just looking depressed, occasionally checking her phone. There's at least a half an hour of her angry texting, and then vent texting. You can't know how you can really tell the difference, but some of them are angry texts going on. Some of them are like responding to somebody who's actually sending her texts. And you're seeing all this until she finally gets up and pulls on her sort of leather bomber jacket over top of her little sundress thing and walks out. And as she's walking away, you feel that slide past the space kind of accelerate. And you hear, and you don't even remember when this conversation really happened. It had to have been within the last couple of weeks. You hear Adam say something, it's basically emotional tethers. And right then you reaccelerate back into like the tunnel. Where is the next place where you slow down where Andy is?
Probably.
I'm so glad I don't just have Dave come back on going, yeah, well, you broke up for all of that, Doyce. Like that would, sorry.
Next time she's out in the field facing, stopping crime or whatever.
Okay, so
I'm imagining lots of angry punching.
yeah. She's not in the field. You think initially that's what's going on, like it's some kind of fight. And it looks like it's some sort of training session between the regulators and the JHHL, or at least some of them. And obviously who you're rooting for and stuff like that. And it's kind of impressive that they managed to kind of finagle these guys to even do this. There must have been some browbeating at school or something like that. But it's not going well. There's a lot of, the team is kind of shouting each other. Andy's not playing tactician. She's actually pretty good at that stuff, and she's not like directing anybody. She's just like swinging, grabbing stuff and throwing it at various people. And she shouts, she whirls around and shouts at telekinesis and points over, one direction and is shouting down at she's the very embodiment of, angrily say something to your teammates and provoke them to foolhardy action, except she's just handing it around all over the place. And the JHHL they're just skating around these guys. One person's iced down. Stingray gets up behind telekinesis and manages to, sort of, stun him and kind of knock, once he's stunned, the telekinesis is not working nearly as well. And he kind of, goes down. They're all kind of avoiding Armiger. They're just, really making him feel like a ground bound, unable to kind of apply most, but they're flying, they're running circles around these guys. And Andy is shouting at them, shouting at the Jills. Chase kind of walks up behind and says something quiet, and she whirls on him and is shouting at him, and then turns around and just, flies straight up. And, Chase is like watching her go, and he's half disappointed, half sad, but the jaw is clenched and the muscles are set in determination and that kind of thing. And you're still kind of sliding by this as this is happening, and you feel yourself starting to accelerate as she's flying up and away from this scene, and you're seeing your uncle just looking up at this. What do you do?
I shout out to Chase.
What do you say?
Mainly just shouting his name, trying to get his attention, hoping that since he's a speedster, that he can hear
Do something.
Yeah.
Oh, please don't. Oh, they hated that part of Interstellar. That's fair though. Why don't? Let me look at something. No. How about you do? Give me freak. Let me just see. Overcoming a barrier. See what we got here. The hits just take potential. The hits just keep on coming. So we get a shot of Harry, yelling, calling out in frustration and not having any effect. We're gonna get back to that 6 in a second. Not having any effect, any kind of impact. You actually see Chase like look down and look away and actually turn, and he looks straight at you, but he's looking straight through and he's walking away. And he's not just walking away, he's walking away from the rest of the irregulars that are still like there on the field, not saying anything to them. He would basically collide with you, but as he's walking and not seeing you, and he's walking away from the team and he's flying away, you begin to accelerate again, and you sort of accelerate right out of the space just as he's about to walk through it, and you speed up again. You go through a couple more spaces like this. You see Andy. And this is an interesting one because you actually see like 3 days in a row, sort of in that compressed time of people coming and going, and then of Andy stopping by Blitzkrieg, like, and asking, saying something to Summer and then leaving, and coming back the next day and saying something to Summer and leaving, and coming back to Blitzkrieg and saying something. And she starts out angry, and you're seeing her face as she's leaving, and it's angry the first day. It's kind of angry and disappointed and weirdly confused. The third day, it's worried after she gets away from the rest of it. And you're seeing that happen. You're seeing school is not going well. You see her in school and basically ignoring. There's talking back to a teacher and ending up sitting outside the assistant principals, and you're seeing her at night standing on a doorstep and the door opening, and it's your parents, and you realize she's standing outside your house, but just before the door opens, she like flies up. So you see the door open and she's already fading away, and you're already accelerating away from that.
You're breaking up some, Dwight.
Yuck. So you see her like chicken out, talking to your parents, kind of. You see later at the school, and her sort of standing on like outside of the the front desk kind of area as she comes up to the front desk because apparently her name was called, and your dad is there and kind of like he sort of raises his hand in sort of a half, greeting kind of thing. And this look on her face of, my God, they knew I was at the house. And then he sort of steps out of the way and Chase is there. And she kind of like rolls her eyes and stomps away again. It is not to borrow from the other fiction, but it's a hot mess. And you see it more and more become like it's all bad emotions, but it's anger, it's confusion, it's worry, and then it's guilt for being angry about this thing that's clearly been pretty bad. And you skid to a stop outside of a house, like on the front sidewalk, right in front of the front steps, finally not slipping. It's a residential area, and it's night, although it's weirdly bright up in the sky. There's like a weird something going on. And you hear over the roar of sounds like a jet flying by really close or some kind of big something. Over that or behind that sounds like some sort of domestic disturbance right in the house in front of you. A lot of shouting, back and forth, mix of English, couple other languages, and the door coming open and Andy stomping out and yanking on her jacket and rubbing at her eyes and stomping down the sidewalk and looking up just in time to not crash into you and just stopping absolutely dead while her family is like in the doorway and shouting and just cutting themselves off as they realize there's somebody else there. And she's looking at you just absolute dumbfounded, and then looking over you like, where's the wounds? Where are the blast scorch marks? Where's the missing limbs? And all she says is, what? And I'm going to have you take a powerful blow. Are you kidding me?
I have no conditions.
This time the low dice are working for you, and you earned it.
You rode through a lot on that. So I feel bad about that. Let's get over this thing. All right. So that's a 3. So take potential again. And tell us how you weather this. Tell us what do you do? Sebastian from Little Mermaid starts singing in the background. You choke him to death and move on.
I mean, depending on how she feels right now, Sebastian's either singing Kiss the Girl or Under the Sea.
Going to bury you under the sea. All right. What do you do? How do you I mean, because this is a lot to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
think fast, Harry.
I say, I'm so sorry I missed our date, and I hug her. Expecting to be punched, but...
First of all, she hugs you back. Sweet criminy, that hurts. Because she hugs really, really hard this time. And then she shoves you back. And then she kisses you. That actually hurts almost as much. And then she shoves you back and smacks you across the face. but kind of pulls that. Like at the last second, she's oh shit. You like ah. It's just and at that point in time, she's kind of half flailing. Like I don't know whether to grab you or punch you she keeps kind of reaching halfway and not, and then pulling back. And we're just gonna stop right there with that.
Doesn't hurt that Harry's probably still smoking with like chronotons coming off of him or
yeah.
something particularly small.
And then there's a weird kind of flash in the sky or a sudden darkening in the sky as a thing that was on fire is sort of sucked through a straw and up into space, and you both kind of look up at this weird little, and then like this bright whitely lit flying object powering across the sky about 3 miles up. Call it 3,600 feet. 36,000 feet, rather. In sort of a straight line. So, you're in Halcyon City because, super heroics are going on. And then on your mic, you hear Concord go, space, and then he screams.
Damn it, Jason!
Welcome home. Damn it, Jason. It's so good. Alicia, you're awake. You're the first one awake. Looks like. Charlotte's out, but frowning very disapprovingly. If there's a such thing as like somnambulant finger wagging, she would be doing it. It looks like Lincoln and Otto's dormant. The plane is kind of weakly keening. Or maybe it's just creaking. It's hard to say. Otto doesn't see it. Most of the lights are out on the control panel. Lincoln and Arya are kind of out.
Are we in 0G?
You're in 0G. So you're in space. What do you do? Assess the situation. No.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say. Can I see anything else?
Yeah, you can quickly push up to like the front, cockpit area. There are some sensors still going. Mostly it's the controls that seem to be kind of like offline, but they're still like, secondary sensor packages and that sort of thing giving you readings. There's more than a few like damage alerts, that kind of deal going on. But you certainly have the means of taking stock of the situation.
Yeah, I'm looking around to see if Dr. Infinity is still around, or any other immediate threat.
Sure. So,
and I'll do that before I start looking for checking pulses and things like that.
Yeah, that seems very. Now, do you have the thing where you can always ask like that additional?
I can.
That's when you're a bad guy, but when you pierce the mask.
No, I can do it with a villain or a hero.
What's the move?
It's wrong side of the tracks. When I pierce the mask on a villain, even on a miss, I ask an extra question. On a hero, my call. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I was thinking of, but that's pierce the mask, not assess the situation. I was thinking that was like asking an additional question.
I was going to say.
Yep. So let's have that assess. What we got?
Okay. Assess is superior. Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah. Honestly, that should be Alicia's first move most times. It's just.
Yeah.
After you assess the situation, what do you do, Alicia?
Unless it's a 3. No, I scrolled down and I thought I'd gotten you managed to pull out a 3, which would have been.
We should be rolling a 0.
Yeah, which would have been quite a trick. All right, so assess the situation on 7-9. Ask 1.
Now you're gonna make me pull up that list of things that I can ask. Assess the situation. Ask.
What here can I use to blank? What here is the biggest threat? What here is the greatest danger?
Which is interesting. Yeah.
Is in the
who here is the most vulnerable to me?
biggest threat versus in the greatest danger.
Oh, who is in the greatest danger?
Right.
Okay, yeah. What here is the biggest threat?
Okay, so I think as much as I want to extra complicate things, the biggest threat is pretty self-evident because Concord's out there and like the whole like he's sort of like arced in pain, and Sable Star, although not the one that was doesn't look like the one that had been in the future. But Sable Star is out there with the big glowy sword and doesn't seem at all discomfited by being in a vacuum. And as near as you can tell, you guys are sort of like in a, sort of a slow free tumble up here. And Concord's rocked and everyone's out and Sable Star is there. So that is that answer, and you have a +1 forward going to act on that for your first action. And we're going to leave you with the +1 ongoing to deal with Dr. Infinity. I mean, at a meta level, the answer to what's the biggest threat is Dr. Infinity is still coming for you, but that's not actually ongoing at this moment. So,
right.
What do you do? I apologize because you got the short straw tonight. Shorter even than Charlotte, I think. She has the promise of a nice long straw in a tall glass of lemonade. Coming up next session.
Or
so.
a nice long straw hurled at hurricane speeds at Mages Everard.
We're actually gonna close with her anyway, so.
I think I don't have a lot of options here since we're clearly in space.
Well, the ship is around you.
Well, yeah, I understand that. I think probably what I need to try to do is get the ship under control and use it bodily. Try to use it bodily towards Sable Star. But get the ship under control to begin with is probably the initial part of that.
Leo has, annoyingly, and you can take that a number of different ways, both in a smug tone of self-satisfied voice, how you would interpret it, and at the number of times that he's mentioned it, and also the simple content of the statement mentioned that the ship is unarmed.
Yes.
Which would irritate Alicia for just a number of different reasons. But yeah, there's certainly things to be done there, and probably getting the ship under control.
The ship itself can act as a weapon. So
yes, true. If you can get the ship,
if I can get the ship actually doing anything,
actually functional. Okay, why don't you give me an unleash your powers then?
Oh, that's probably not good.
That seems like most appropriate since you are.
Yeah, that'll be my free.
This is hypertech, and you are the hypertech. You're a hyper genius, so yes. That would be the
okay.
thing.
So I'm gonna take a +1 forward from. Do I get the +1 from the not towards that end, or not
yes,
yet?
Yeah, you do. If you if you choose to take it, if you're whether it's to get clear of Sable Star to do something to her.
Oh wait. Hold on a sec. Let me think a sec.
Is it time to pull out a gadget?
Yeah, I'm just wondering about the gadget.
That might certainly, I mean, from a narrative point of view, it certainly helps with the whole, because the problem with the Phoenix, from Alicia's point of view, is that this thing is all built on trust mechanics.
Damn it, Leo!
It needs to like you. Now it's also
So
sort of
it's not even just a matter of trying to get the controls back working. It's getting the controls to actually do what I want them to do. Right.
They have to like you first.
Do you have
They have to like me
and
first.
you don't have influence over the Phoenix. You do.
That's like, yeah, one thing I don't have influence is over the Phoenix.
One thing. But I mean,
I've got influence almost everyone else. But so if I would it be considered a gadget or a minor invention to have some sort of yeah, some sort of,
what does this? Okay,
Bill,
when I have a chance,
I'm trying to think of something that's going to let me go outside.
what does the gadget? What does
and-
the gadget do? When you unleash your powers by producing a brand new minor invention gadget from supply, spend one gadget,
Spend one-
roll plus superior. Then what?
That's true, because I would have to use the gadget.
No, I mean, like, what does it? What is the effect?
It does whatever I want it to. It's to whatever end I'm looking to have a gadget to do something.
Oh, you get it.
I want to. If it's something that I need to be able to roll on.
That's from the brain one, right?
It is from the brain playbook, yes. What I'm looking for is a way, alternative to using the Phoenix as a weapon. I've got weapons, and I am a weapon, so if I can get outside and not die from, explosive decompression,
Right. Hold two gadgets.
or go tumbling into space like, all the GIFs we've been posting up.
Oh,
then
it lets you unleash your powers with superior. I was just not
Right.
getting that. Right. So there's a couple
or
things.
I could.
The couple
Okay, go
angles
ahead.
here would be to sort of wake Otto back up using some sort of gadgetarial,
Right.
defibrillator kind of thing, shock to the system, so to speak. That you could. There's a lot of emergency gear in here, and with a little bit of work, but there's no airlock on this thing, so going outside is
Problematic.
deeply
Okay.
problematic. I mean, you could go outside, but then what? And also, people dying.
Right.
So it probably.
Well, yeah. So is the most straightforward thing to get Otto operating, and I can convince Otto that we should do something.
Functionally within the cockpit, you're basically sort of inside Otto, and Otto's interfacing with the plane. So you're getting Otto up and at him, Tiger.
Okay. Well, I can certainly. That sounds like something that would be good to unleash my powers with.
And yeah, you've got gadgetry, and a lot of it borrowed from, recovered from Bots Lab. So certainly link adjacent tech, or that kind of stuff. So certainly figuring out some way to kind of like go, hey, big guy, up and at him kind of deal. Sun's going down.
Sun's going down. Yeah. I mean,
reverse sun's going down.
Sun's coming up, Otto. Yeah.
So yeah, I would do an unleash your powers with Spear. We'll see where we are.
Okay.
We might stop right on the roll. We'll see how it goes.
We might. Superior. So am I taking any? I'm not taking any forwards on this.
You can take it for, well. Is it? Let me.
Or do I hold on to that forward again from my assess the situation?
I would hold on. I would
acting on the situation.
I would hold on to it to actually like do something to her once you get some way
Yeah.
to act, and also, because you might be attacking, you could be defending, trying to get yourself clear of her or something like that. So
Dave,
Or-
I will
or-
remind you.
Yeah.
It's not take +1 forward. It's take +1 while acting on the answers.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So
Right.
it's not like a roll. It's
Until the situation
until the
changes.
situation changes. So
Oh, okay.
it's not like a roll. So you got potential
Got
good
it.
number of rolls there. But in any case, not this one. So yeah, I would just
But
roll
not
the
this one.
superior. Yeah. Full hit. I love how the number takes a while to come up, but full hit. So, unleash your powers. On a hit, you do it. Overcome an obstacle. So knowing Otto is basically a person that happens to be in a car shape. What does this look like?
Well, yeah, I obviously respect Otto for his
And also
his
that you encountered Otto's
personhood,
ghost.
and I encountered Otto's ghost who actually saved me. On the other hand, we're in a combat situation, so
I'm just saying there's a lot of thoughts going through Alicia's head while this is happening.
I'm perfectly happy to do sort of the electroshock equivalent of kind of trying to slap him awake.
Yeah, so it's not so much like a hard shock as it is kind of like a oscillating charge kind of thing, almost.
Alarm clock.
And like the third or fourth one, he's like, I'm up. Oh, why does it hurt? Why does it all hurt? Also, why am I floating?
We're in space. Everyone else is unconscious. Sable Star is attacking Concord, who is disabled. We need to
move.
We need to slam into her, or interpose ourselves, or do something, because none of us can go out into space except Phoenix, who is already here.
Yeah. While he's waking up, I was thinking of the C-3PO thing of like, stormtroopers here? I must tell the others. Oh my word, I've been shot. All of that kind of happening at once. Right. Yes. Moving good. Wake up, Leo. And then he starts doing something.
Oh, good. Hit him. I can slap around a bit.
All right. And we're gonna stop there with Wake Up, Leo. You thought this was going to be the last session with Leo, but you forgot who you were dealing with. The slowest GM in history.
I don't think you can take this all on yourself, dear.
There's a lot going on. There's just so much going on. All right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Please do not misinterpret what I'm saying, but I have discussed this a number of times with my daughter about this, and I have come to the conclusion that this 5 is a lot of people for masks. It is just a lot. I don't know what the right size is, but 5, and I wouldn't change this for all the tea in China. This group for all the tea in China, but 5 is a lot.
Well, it's like going from juggling, 3 balls to 4 balls.
Yeah.
You have to change the pattern, juggling 5 balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It isn't a geometric progression. It's a lot. Okay.
Opening remark to Everett.
Ignoring the fact that Leo got rolls and actually potential. We're going to focus on who we know are going to be the live people here. So, Alicia. Closer to the team, further away from the team, more into your image of yourself. Realizing, of course, that we'll go in order of how much actual screen time everybody got from smallest to largest.
I'll take closer to the team because I'm having to work with the team. And actually,
say Otto.
I was about to say Otto because obviously I've actually kind of tacitly acknowledged that influence by waking him more gently
than you would have for
that I'm going to wake Leo.
Yeah. treat him better than you treat the people. Yeah, it's certainly more gently than you would if you were trying to like jumpstart a robot car.
Right.
Yeah. And he's had some interesting conversations with you in the past too. So I'll with all the like that scene back in the hidden lab and stuff like that. Charlotte, closer to the team, further away from the team, or doing image yourself.
I'm gonna have to say image of myself because this is all gonna be about
Yeah, it's all
and
about you.
mages.
All right. Shift your labels accordingly. Dave, you would either clear condition or
Yep.
potential.
Yep.
If you continue your trend of like racking up massive amounts of conditions all the time, I encourage you to look strongly at the soldiers. I could do this all day move. 'Cause it's kind of a good one. Anyway, no, not Leo. Harry.
I would say more into the image of myself, since I really didn't see the team.
No, and you also
I saw
Kinda-
myself in a more mundane light.
okay. You shift yourself however you feel you need to. Although I will point out, seeing yourself in a mundane light after figuring out how to freaking time travel is an interesting response. I'm not arguing with
Well,
it.
it can't do that.
No, I'm fine with it. You do it.
No, I can't by mundane's at its max.
Oh, well then you go. That's fair. Yeah. I'm going to shift my mundane up. You can't. Yeah, I'm going to do it anyway and take a condition. Okay. Summer.
Closer to Concord. Teamwork.
Yay, teamwork. Yay,
Woo.
giving Concord directions via science. Take potential clear condition at your discretion.
I'm
Concord.
leveling up. I'm taking the Beacon's drives.
Taking what now? Let me see. Oh, the beacon. What you call it? The drives. Love it. Love it. Beacon drives are awesome, and we haven't had those in the game yet. So we talked about it a number of times with Concord, but it never happened. So that's cool. I love the drive. That's a fun little role-playing checklist. And finally, the Concord.
We're gonna go with Summer, because was there any question about that?
No, I don't think there's any
No.
real question about that.
She's already got influence.
Yep. So go ahead and shift my labels. I am gonna take the. I'm not gonna check potential. I'm gonna check afraid here.
That sounds like a good idea. You had a lot of. What were we up to? 4 on you?
Yeah. Also, I rolled the 10 plus on my defend earlier. I had one condition then, and I never actually did anything for it. So I think I'm gonna uncheck guilty.
Okay.
Because that was what was checked back then.
Right, and that actually lets you. You were defending the city. So
Yeah.
what is that? It gives you.
Oh,
You
I
get
could
influence
either
over somebody you defend, right?
Yeah, or uncheck a condition and
Oh,
clear the
you're going
condition.
for the condition clearing, not the influence. Okay, because
Yeah.
it'd be lovely with your parents going. We could do with a lot less of the superhero to have the city decide that you're.
Oh no, I already thought about. Ooh, what if I took?
Yeah, what if the city suddenly decided they're your favorite golden boy and they want you to be a superhero, like see you around, flying around all the time, and your parents are like, we want less of that. But no, clear condition.
I thought about it, and then I got a whole bunch of conditions. So
That's true, and that would just be a new avenue to more of them. Cool. All right.
Joyce.
Yes, sir.
The Janus GM moves are on Summer's sheet, just for reference for you.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that. I gotta look at those. I'll examine those over the course of the week. It has been more annoying than I expected to not be able to get to Roll20 during the day. So that's something I just need to start planning around and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Meta level stuff, just FYI. I mean, I don't know what our little group of vagabonds is going to look like after Labor Day. Whether James will still be able to reach out and smite evil from the confines of college, or if there will even be any time or anything like that. So, with that in mind, just so everybody knows, I am going to definitely be focusing on getting Mercury arcs stuff, story, character stuff addressed, and some level of resolution there over the course of the next couple of weeks.
He got a kiss. What more does he, need?
Also punched. Also, yeah.
I also got a few broken ribs and
yeah. My checklist as I'm working my way down it is that Concord's had a lot of stuff happen, but hasn't like really. But that's kind of probably third thing. Charlotte's got some stuff happening, but I really want Harry's thing. So it'll be kind of a Charlotte arc and Harry arc for the next couple of weeks.
I got to run right now, but I am 100% on board with that plan as a player. So
right.
It sounds good.
So we got a couple characters who have like actually are new characters now because they've had a big arc, and I want to make sure that I'm getting everybody getting that kind of that thing. And right now, for me, that's the ones who are most egregiously short on that are Harry and Charlotte. So that's where my attention is going to go, without ignoring anybody. But I just, that's where that's the people owning the next arc. Ignoring the fact that currently we're in space and Concord, one of Concord's nemesis people are currently trying to cut him. So it doesn't necessarily look like that, but that's definitely where I'm headed.
So for me,
Mm-hmm.
I was planning on, once I got settled, trying to continue doing the game.
Which I am 100% behind, but I am also aware that lots of stuff is waiting until things get settled can be a...
Yeah, no, I completely get that.
Yeah.
And I've also been looking at my character sheet and going, okay, there are how many more advancements I can take?
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely, in many cases, pretty close to... I made this comment on the recording last week that certainly Concord and Link are both... They're certainly within shouting. Well, Link for sure, and even Concord pretty close to shouting distance of like level cap, kind of, in terms of what else is there to do, kind of thing.
I have things to say about that.
I am absolutely sure that you have things to say about that. I very much doubt that any of that has missed you, or missed your attention. So,
but I can definitely see the finishing up Harry.
And again,
arc.
I'm not so much trying to finish up Harry, but giving him a satisfying...
You're trying to boot him out of the team. I understand.
I'm trying to make sure that certain things happen that we resolve. Mostly, it isn't even so much as... Ironically, being a legacy superhero, you'd think it would be superhero stuff, but it's like, what's going on with Andy? What's going to end up going on with Andy? Resolving some stuff with the legacy, but mostly like the superhero base, like that kind of stuff. I want those things to happen. And then wherever things go after that, I'm just, but I there's a few things, there's things I don't want to leave hanging. How about that? Not so much like resolve anything, but just things I just want to like, I don't want to leave just dangling out there. And those are a couple of those things. Charlotte, on the other hand, has got some big questions about her character to answer.
I have a lot of work to do.
Right. And that is certainly a part of that. And as much as I
know I can do it now.
Yes. And I actually have ways of tying that back into some Concord stuff, and obviously Dr. Infinity's in there, and that ties back to some stuff going on with Alicia. But Dave's been around the track once with a character, so I'm not killing myself about that. Although
that's absolutely cool.
I love the fact though that Alicia now has like a finger in the Dr. Infinity pie, because that makes things lovely. And I don't have to worry about Summer being like worrying about whatever everybody else has got going on, because that's just Summer. So just want you guys to, I don't want anybody to feel like we're never going to get to my thing, because this is kind of where I think The next couple of weeks, at least, like this next month, is gonna kind of go. So
It's good.
just so you know.
Makes sense.
Cool. All right. I am glad to have everybody together. I was kind of surprised, not really, but kind of surprised that we're going to end up getting 50 sessions in over the course of the year, which means we missed 2 bloody weeks the entire year.
I am. Do remember there was at least 2 of those sessions that you did like outside of the normal thing in the same week that we also played other games. The ones with the guys in the Sepiaverse.
Yes. So we managed 50 sessions during the year. We may have missed 4 weeks over the course of it, but we made up the you're right, but there was a couple sessions in there that were like Dave and Margie, Jason and Charlotte having hijinks and stuff like that. But yeah, that's still 50 sessions. And I think that's pretty good. I mean, even if it were 46, that's still pretty damn good for a year.
Oh no,
yeah.
we did great.
Yeah, that is some. There's a part of me that's like, man, I got other stuff I want to run too, but there's so much stuff here. There's so much stuff here and so good stuff. So I just, can't worry about any of that. Can't worry about that till it's worth worrying about. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Doyce,
Yes, sir.
going back when you were talking about, it's gotta be quick, a little, or Concord and Link are coming up on level cap.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how many advances I have to take before I'm forced to retire from the life or become a Paragon of the City?
How many?
7.
Really? Wow.
I have 7 more I can take before that becomes my only advancement, and that's without doing the whole, hey, let's do something cool.
That's crazy because you're basically Ion at this point. Like, I mean.
Hey, me too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Harry's got lots of room, and 7 is a lot. That's 35 potential. That's a lot. That's a lot of 3s.
That's a lot of potential.
Yeah,
And especially since we keep forgetting to mark it.
I don't, but I've also started to divest myself of actually checking potential when, if I have the option of doing something else.
Yeah. Because you frequently have conditions to clear or other options and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. After I got like 5 advances, I was just like, okay, we can slow down.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that, I think, early on. I think it's fun because I know, Margie, I know and I wasn't always good about reminding you. I'm trying to be better about making sure that, you gave somebody influence. You should, at the end of the game, you should take it, take your potential. Because I wasn't really good about that necessarily early on. I didn't think to remind you because my past experience has never been that you've been the one that needs to be reminded to grab XP. And in this, it's you were always leveling ahead of everybody else because of various stuff happening. So it's been an interesting switch around.
Well, and I actually have at least one level in there that I haven't figured out what I'm doing yet. So, which is again odd for me because I
usually you have a plan. Yeah. And part of that goes to there's stuff where it's like there's a lot of exploring to be done by going and grab a move from another playbook, but that is a lot of like digging around, looking at the other playbooks and stuff like that, and seeing what would be cool. And Charlotte is such a very specific kind of concept that there's a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't necessarily fit without reskinning.
Playbooks that are specific to whatever their thing is, like what Adam's doing, right? It's all about
Nova
how
stuff,
you spend your and so it's not like that's really applicable to others because it's all about the burn,
right? And with like Alicia, though, interestingly, has been somebody that it's a lot of moves from other books that are the ones that but honestly, that almost makes sense to me because in a lot of ways, unless you're really playing that reformed card hard, you can really play the reformed card hard and be somebody who's still quite criminal. But if your move is more towards that drive to a better you,
Mm-hmm.
there's a very strong tendency, I think, to select stuff from other playbooks to indicate that direction.
Right.
All that kind of stuff. So it's
Yeah, I
it's
mean, a
interesting.
lot of the stuff I have kind of penciled in to take at such a time as I actually, get advances,
Right.
get an additional advance, is stuff from other playbooks, and in part that's because I can see with the way that I'm playing things where there are some things that would fill in some nice gaps,
Yeah.
and part of it is because just through the nature of what we've been doing and where the character emphasis has been, there's just not been a lot of time or opportunity for Alicia to be dealing with her criminal past and all of the friends in low places stuff that
Which I honestly have a thing because one of your friends in low places is an expert on alien tech, and I plan on getting that. I actually made notes on it because there was a potential for that to actually even come up to this time, if things had been, gotten. But there were a lot, This is one of those nights where a lot of stuff happens because a lot of dice rolled low. You know,
We had some really sucky rolls.
we had some really sucky rolls, and as a result, lots of cool stuff happened. But it was like, the ship flying out of control. Harry's got to deal with the time tunnel thing, and that doesn't land right. And there's a lot of but I love the bad rolls because lots of cool stuff came out of it. So.
Well, we all love the bad rolls. In fact, I think sometimes we sort of, let's not use any team on this. Let's see what happens because it's all so much fun, and so that ties into that. Gosh, why did we not get any further in the plot? Because everybody's busy dragging themselves up from the horrible things that happen from the bad rolls because we enjoy that part.
It's a wonderful engine, and I honestly think there's a cycle, I shouldn't say engine, but there's a wonderful cycle there. And I've seen it done in older games that it wears it a little bit more on its sleeve. And either we've gotten more used to it or this is much more organically, because in a lot of games in the past, there's been that sort of organic thing of these things happen and as a result that will drive you to role play because you need to deal with this thing. And that's been there. I've seen lots of games that do that. This one is I've got conditions. That's fine, man. I've got a comfort and support coming your way and I got a great scene for it. It's either we're more used to it or it just works better in this context.
Yep.
Or something, and it's expressed well, because those never feel like, oh, I need to have somebody want to do a scene with me so I can get it. No, it's never, it never.
It's finding time to do the scene.
Yeah, and this is partly it's finding the time to do those scenes, and that's always the thing. I think the other thing
that's just because we're having fun doing what we're doing.
And the failure is incentivized for lots of things. Cool stuff happens, and there's also the potential for potential. One of the things that I'm still, and I don't know whether it's some of this is bringing this back as a GM to other stuff, because the thing that ultimately, if I had to put my finger on one thing that has bugged me, sometimes it's not a big deal, but has bugged me about Fate, is that really 9 times out of 10, you have to want to fail to fail.
Because, that is totally the game.
If you want to succeed, you'll succeed. It
doesn't matter.
It is very, very rare that you don't have the means at your disposal to turn a failure into a success. And for whatever reason, because those means exist, you use them. And we've sat here in this game and been like, no, let's save the team points. We're fine. Let's see what happens with the failure, because the results are part of the incentive and obviously the potential is there. And for whatever reason, maybe it's failure of the GM. The failure results aren't as incentivized in Fate, so you just don't get that as much, and you end up with this sort of, I don't want to call it dull, but there's a lot more. There's a lot less of sort of the interesting failures, because the failures simply don't happen at all. So they It doesn't matter whether they're interesting or not. They're not happening. You know what I mean? And that's
Well,
I feel like there's something to dig around at there and figuring that out, but I don't know what that
I
is.
think part of it is though is that with the nature of Mask, especially the way we've been playing it, but I think just the way the game is written is that really what's going on is kind of the emotional thing, and the superheroics, I don't want to say are just color text, but they're in a sense almost incidental. So, being knocked out of the sky and slammed into the ground isn't a defeat. It's something that drives kind of that next emotional scene and the emotional growth and change for the characters.
Right.
And so to a degree, there's less incentive to,
Let's
do all
worry
the
about
funny
it.
stuff to worry about it,
Yeah.
which is why we end up like often having this huge pool of team because we're not using team because it's sort of like, yeah, let's say that for something really emotionally important.
Right. And
Um,
also, to be fair, like you build up a bunch of team and then Leo rolls and it's like a series of 11s. But yeah, I mean, and what's interesting is, okay, so let's say you have a little hack for fate and you go, okay, well, yeah, if you fail, we'll do the thing. You learn from your mistakes. You fail, you get a fate point. Well, that just makes it less likely that you're going to fail later. I mean, you don't necessarily use those for advancements, so it doesn't. And if you make yourself better in fate, you're actually better. Like you're less likely to fail. There are a lot of advancements that you get in Mask that doesn't make it remote. Most of the advancements in Masks do not make you less likely to fail. They just give you other interesting story options. You know what I mean? Like they give you a way to ask an extra question when you're doing an assessed situation, or they give you an adult move which like isn't even a parallel to the kids move because they work differently, or they give you some neat way to interact with the power thing. But Charlotte gets a really cool thing that lets her like basically do whatever she wants with empowering a thing with power, but you still have to roll, and if it fails, wacky stuff happens. It doesn't make you less likely to fail. You get what you want at the cost of whatever. And with the fate as a parallel, you put points into stuff, you're just going to fail less. You get stronger. And that does happen in Mask, but what's it, maybe 20 or 30% of the total advances are actually going to improve your odds.
I mean, it doesn't. I think when you're advancing, it's less about improving your character and more about adding to your character's story.
Yeah, you get broader. You don't get
ability.
You don't grow. You get broader and more deep, but you don't exclusively just get bigger, taller, whatever. You do kind of, but I don't know. It's interesting, but some of it, I think, a lot of it is just that incentivized story, the story incentive of failing. We didn't fail as much. We weren't as enthusiastic about failing early on until we started to see that, like, hey, this is actually usually very awesome. And it helps also that we've got not one person, but 6 people trying to come up with, like, okay, if we're going for a 5, it better be good. Everybody kick in. Like, what's the best possible 5, failure thing happening here? And that certainly helps, because if it were just me, there'd be a lot
Well,
of.
that's because we like kibitzing.
There's always that. We have a lot of great brains working on stuff. Mike, I feel like I stepped right on something that you were going to say about that.
Oh no, it was just general fate stuff and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike the game, but that's always been a bit of a frustration
I've
point for me.
started to. Like, I am just going back and thinking about it. It's like, when was the time I had a satisfying game of Fate?
I've had that, but they're always like usually really like when we were playing Spirit of the Century, and I was also I did a Spirit of the Century hack that was like that system completely basically untouched, but used to do sort of a pulpy Amber game. But it's that really high level stuff where failure isn't really happening. It's more of a Rocketeer level. I mean, I don't know, but it's been
It's hard to put your finger on, isn't it?
You know, honestly, the satisfying games I've had have been when I was playing with my daughter and we were playing and we didn't do like I literally didn't do fate point refreshes. She got fate points back when the mechanic said that she would get a fate point back for certain things, but I never did a refresh. So she was frequently without or very limited number of fate points, and she stayed like that, and frequently didn't remember to use them. So they were a more limited supply, and they weren't used nearly as often, and those ended up being a lot more tense. So there's something I don't know. There's something happening there. I don't know what that is. And at the same time, the people I know, people who play a lot of Fate, who find uh, the PBTA mechanics frustrating because the dice mechanic does not in there's no part of the dice mechanic that involves you going, this is harder, so your roll should be harder to hit. Like target numbers don't change. They don't get lower, they don't get higher. They're always whatever they are, irrespective of what's going on in the fiction. And
Yeah, but I feel like that's a feature, not a
that
bug.
I think it's absolutely a feature. It's just it changes what the focus is. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter that it doesn't get harder to stop the plane because it's going at Mach 8 versus Mach 2. That's not the point. The point is what how much of a strain is this going to have on Concord, and that doesn't matter. None of those factors matter to that question. So the roll is the roll. It makes it very much about you because literally you're the only factor that matters. Do I have conditions? That's what makes it harder. Am I angry? Am I off balance? Am I feeling insecure about myself? All that stuff. Those are the only largely the only modifiers that matter. You know, the only time, and this is very, very recent, summer going forward, I think the thing from my six should be that Sable Stars totally sees me coming. Okay, then take -1, forward, ongoing versus Sable Star, and that's maybe the first time I've ever done something like that in this game. But yeah, again, it's still just a reflection of what's going on it's not even a reflection. It's not a reflection of tactics or she's got the high ground, Luke, or anything like that. It's Summer is hurrying and easily telegraphing her moves, and Sable Star is going to be ready for that. But it's still all about where Summer's head is, not anything else. It is a hell of a game. It really, really is, and it suits my speed notwithstanding. It suits my GMing style right down to the ground. So,
Yep.
there's that.
Oh, by the way, Doyce, I had something else to talk to you about.
Yes, sir.
So,